Insiders, we'll just recap what we discussed yesterday and then bridge it into today, because I think that's the most helpful way to approach. Everybody joining us at this portion of the video, welcome. And so yesterday in Insiders, we pulled up Netflix because a lot of insiders were asking about what the approach is to earnings. Is there an opportunity to swing earnings? I said absolutely not. I don't see it as a good play. Just be a flyer at best if you're working with it. But I don't like the idea of attacking Netflix going into earnings, because I felt there wasn't enough upside and unlikely to be a lot of downside. And what happens when there's not a lot of upside or downside? You hear about option sellers collecting premium, but let's just use examples and pull it up. So I'm going to use the charting for Thinkorswim because I think that most people use Thinkorswim. I prefer trading with IBKR, and I'll put that up on my X feed tonight to remind everybody that link to IBKR. I think it's worth checking out at the very least. But let's take a look and see why this is absolutely destroying people who bought calls and people who bought puts, right? So I'm going to pull out the options chain, right? Here's the options chain on Netflix, and this is on Thinkorswim. So I'm going to show you guys how to navigate Thinkorswim and get a better idea of things. You can see how expensive these premiums are, and we know that premiums elevate as a result of IV spiking when there's earnings event near, right? The idea is, well, if it's earnings, there's a good chance something goes up, there's a good chance something goes down, right? So you have to pay more for calls and more for puts. Well, what you could see here, I'm going to show you where to look at it for Thinkorswim. These are all the prices. And that means on 645, you're paying a premium of $27. And what that means is the movement needs to live up to the implied move. Where's the implied move here? 56.92. That means the markets were expecting a plus minus. See how it's a plus minus, right? When we're looking at implied volatility, markets were expecting about $57 in movement. That means a $57 move up or a $57 move down, right? And as a result, I'll bring this back, you're paying these heavy premiums. So you got puts at 640, you're paying $2,650, $2,650. You got calls at 245, you're paying $2,790. Come tomorrow morning with the current price action, both are getting melted. Why? Because we're not moving at all, right? So the calls are going to have all that implied volatility melt off. Why? Because people are no longer hyper speculative on this, right? They're not saying, whoa, we could move 56 points. No, remember where you find it, again, just as a refresher, you find it right there. That's the general implied move here, 57 points. People aren't thinking that anymore. Why not? Well, because earnings are done. So why would Netflix make a 57-point move up or down come tomorrow? Plus, we're now, if you're looking at it, 1 day to expiration, 0 DTE, right? So there's no time left on the clock, and Netflix is completely flat. In order to substantiate these premiums, right, you need at least a 27-point move over 645 for these calls, right? So if Netflix goes up 27.90 tomorrow, you look at the extrinsic premium versus intrinsic premium, you need a massive move tomorrow just to get to break even. People are getting roasted. Come the morning, let's say we stay flat here, this will be a few dollars, this will be a few dollars. Most people probably lose about 80 to 90% of their premiums. So when I talk about strategy going to earnings, when you look at expensive premiums and you see a big implied move, that means if you are not confident on your projections that the stock you're dealing with will hit that move, don't touch it, because it's been priced into the options contract and you're stuck now. And when you wake up, these $26, $27 contracts are going to be worth a few $100s, meaning $2,790 may be worth $400, $500 come the morning, right? $2,500, $300, $400 come the morning. That's not good. And you have to recognize the size of the move that's implied and understand how to work around it. And that's yesterday when we were evaluating. My team and I we've been looking at Netflix, and what I've told everybody, what I told insiders yesterday was we're neutral. This is actually right now, we're part of an insider video. I said we're actually neutral right now. We're very neutral on Netflix. So we don't feel like there's a lot of upside here. There's going to be a lot of downside. We'd rather reevaluate post earnings and come back to Netflix. And in fact, if you look at the Netflix's last earnings, right, end up taking off afterwards. So don't get suckered in and jump on something because you think it's earnings, I could just go YOLO. Never go YOLO with your hard-earned capital. This is a bloodbath right now because calls and puts are getting crushed. And so you ask, who makes the money? People selling premium. So if you're selling these options, you're laughing. I just sold something to you for $2,700 and I can buy it back from you for $4 now. I can close out my position. Dangerous situation. That's how you evaluate, and that's how you head into it. So public, that's a cut for now. We'll have much more. I'll try to make more of these videos for you. Insiders.